What is up, everybody? Ron here from Never Lucky. Welcome. Happy to have you guys here. We're going to be talking about the week 4 waiver wire, guys. This is one of the most important waiver wires of the year because we had injuries, man. It sucks, but a lot of core players, key running backs got injured. Now let's get into this video, guys. We're going to be starting from the top with our boy, Trey Benson, man. I've been talking about how you guys got to pick him up the past couple of weeks, but if you didn't, he is still available in about 60% of leagues. We got to talk about what's going to happen with him moving forward, man. It looks like he's going to be the starter moving forward for this Arizona team. Now, the question that we have to ask ourselves and that I want to ask you guys is, do we expect Trey Benson to take a 3-down workload? We saw him kind of working behind James Conner. We saw Emari Demercado come in after James Conner went down. It was mostly Benson, but Demercado was actually like pretty involved. He had like a really bad fumble, or he like dropped a pass, I think on like an out route, would have been a touchdown. He drops it. Supposedly the team likes him. They know what he's capable of. They know that he could be a competent player. That could have just been a lapse, could have been just a mistake. So the idea is this, man. If we're going to drop 50% plus of our fab on Benson, is he going to be a starter? Is he going to be like a full-time starter on a pretty decent team, right? This is not a high-powered offense, but it's a good team. So I think we're going to have to probably break the bank with the hope that that dropped pass just vaults Benson into a full-time role. So he's going to be my number one ad for sure. I mean, he's somebody that we just can't afford to let our league mates get him. So we have to go out and grab him. He had, some really explosive plays leading up to this game. And then now that he's going to be the starter, let's see if he can kind of continue. Let's see if that yards per carry can continue. He can be efficient, continue having explosive plays, and then getting some receiving work. We love the 3 targets. So you're going to have to drop, open up the coffers. You're going to have to drop stacks on him. And I think he's going to be decent, man, rest of the season. Let's move it along, dude. Let's talk about Chris Rodriguez now. We saw that to start the game, he was the starter. We kind of, a lot of people were expecting this to happen, that we wanted JCM, we wanted Bill to be the guy, but it ended up being Chris Rodriguez. But by the end of the game, it was just a complete committee. It was just all 3 guys sharing. Jeremy McNichols actually has the biggest play out of all the running backs. So that adds another wrench into the conversation. I truly believe that if you're looking for running back help, take a shot on Rodriguez or McNichols. Both of them could be good. They could be serviceable. I think McNichols is going to be in the Eckler role moving forward. Unfortunately, he didn't have a lot of catches or receptions, if I remember correctly. Let's have a quick look at him. He had no targets, man. No targets, no receptions. So we kind of expected him to be in the Eckler role as a receiving back, but he gets no receptions. Neither does he get any in week 1. He's always been a strong running back in terms of yards per carry. He's got nice explosiveness. He's actually a pretty decent running back, and he's kind of trusted. So I take a shot on both of them, see what happens. Probably a preference to McNichols because he did have the big play. Maybe they give him a little bit more run moving forward. Obviously, Bill is probably the guy you want to own, but this is a waiver wire video, bro. We are down horrendous at the moment. We're looking for help. We're looking for players that can potentially help us out here. So let's look back up. I think Hassan Haskins, you probably skipped that. At the end of the day, he's a handcuff. There's a chance they bring in a guy like Gus Edwards, who's a free agent, and then Haskins isn't really going to have much value for us. Ollie Gordon is somebody that I do think we need to be looking at. He ends up getting 25% of the snaps. He goes 9 for 38 and does get a touchdown. He gets the goal line run. That is a little problematic if you're an HN owner. I think we want to buy him, man. I think we want to pick him up. He's probably like a top 5 running back waiver wire ad, in my opinion. And we can see by the trends, right? A lot of people are picking him up. 85,000 people have added him. So I think there's a chance he has the Raheem Mostert role for this offense, which is a good role, right? Like two years ago when Raheem Mostert was on the team, both him and HN were like top 10 running backs. So Kenneth Gainwell, I think, is kind of a mirage, man. I don't know. What do you guys think? I feel like he's getting work. He does get a touchdown, but only 5 total opportunities in the game. I don't think we want to bank on that, right? In fantasy football, we want to try to chase volume. So like if you're debating between a guy like Kenneth Gainwell, who yes, gets a touchdown, but he's been in a declining snap share every week. Jalen Warren's snap share has gone up. Gainwell's has gone down, right? And that's in multiple different types of game scripts. So I don't know. I'm not really excited about Gainwell. I'd rather take like a Kareem Hunt, who's going to be on this list a little further. Miles Sanders, skip him. I know he's kind of having an elevated workload. He goes 9 for 41. He gets a couple of end zone touches where he could have had a touchdown in this game as well. But I just don't imagine his ceiling being like, if Javonte Williams stays healthy, I don't imagine Sanders being usable. Like maybe he'll get you 9 points in like a good week where things really goes away and maybe he gets a touchdown, maybe a $5 fab budget. I just want to say, man, I probably should have said this at the top of the video. On the Discord, I'm going to be sharing a document or like a file, which is essentially just the waiver wire pickups how much fab you should use and what the ranks are, like which ones I want more than the others. So that's going to be important. This video, I'm just covering them kind of like bird's eye view. So stay tuned for that. The fact that Miles Sanders is relevant again, man, that's kind of crazy to me. I thought it was gonna be Jade on Blue, but we were wrong, dude. Miles Sanders still has a little bit of juice. Blake Corum is somebody that I'm pretty high on. As you guys might know from some of my other videos, I do think he has a chance to take over a lot more of this backfield. He's also been kind of ascending, 17% snaps week 1, 30% week 2, and then 24% in week 3. He goes 8 for 53 in week 3. He was 5 for 44 in week 1 or in week 2, and then he gets a touchdown. So he's pretty involved, man. And this is a high-powered offense with a really good defense. Now, unfortunately for my theory, Kyren Williams actually looked pretty decent last game. He was getting some chunk runs, but for the most part, I'm not like super excited about Kyren Williams. And one more little stat I do want to show you guys about Williams and Corum is that they each have 5 carries of over 10 yards. So that we consider that an explosive run, I suppose. And Williams has 55 rushing attempts compared to Corum with only 14. So Corum is chunking, dude. He is absolutely chunking. He's got explosiveness. He's a really good running back that is kind of similar to a Kyren Williams. He's like the same type of archetype. That's why they drafted him. So I think there's a chance he takes over the backfield, but we might have to wait for that. We might need an injury. But either way, he's a very high value handcuff, so you do need to go out and pick him up. Kareem Hunt, is he a handcuff? Is he the starter? I mean, he goes 10 for 34 and a touchdown. He gets the goal line work. He gets a catch for 10 yards. This dude might be the starter, man. When I look at Pacheco, I know he's technically the starter, but 10 for 45, 1 target for 3 yards. Like, he's just unusable. If he's not going to get goal line, he's not going to get enough volume. He's not going to get receptions. He's unplayable. While Kareem Hunt, there's actually a chance he gets into the end zone. So I feel like I'd take Kareem Hunt over Pacheco at this point. And then Quinshon Judkins probably owned. Justice Hill, you could do worse than Justice Hill if I'm honest. Like 7 fantasy points in hurry up offense type mode. So he's not horrible. Rico Dowdle is somebody that I do want you guys to have a look at. His role is growing. It was a blowout. He does get the goal line touch after Chuba goes down at the 1 yard line. He's very inefficient. He goes 10 for 30. Again, this is a blowout, so I think that's why he got a lot more run. So I wouldn't look at this ascending workload as indicative that he's going to slowly take over the backfield. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. I think they want him around like the 30% snap rate, similar to Kyren Williams and Corum. But because of that, we got to pick him up. We got to pick him up because he's going to be a very high value handcuff. He's going to be a 3-down back if Chuba were to go down. And because of that, he's a high value handcuff. And this is an offense that is not as bad as people say. I mean, Bryce Young looked pretty good last week. And it's an offense that, I think you'd be happy to start Rico Dowdle if he were the 3-down back, if he were the bona fide starter for this team. So let's have a look at wide receivers now. We get the Trey Tucker 3-touchdown, absolutely massive pop-off game. And the question that we're asking ourselves is this going to continue? And we see that he's playing 90% of snaps. He's running routes. He's getting targets. He's getting touchdowns. Geno Smith was honing in on this man. He got 9 targets again, 8 catches for 145 and 3 touchdowns. I think he's legit. I think he's going to be the wide receiver 2 for this team. And I'm going to be honest, man, it seems like he has more upside than a Jacoby Myers. Like, when you look at Jacoby Myers' game log, he's a high volume guy, but he's not really getting touchdowns. He's never been a high touchdown guy in his career. Like, the most touchdowns he's had was 8 in 2023. Last year, only 4. Last year, he was a PPR scam, So I'm pretty big on Trey Tucker, if I'm honest, man. Like, I think he's for real. I mean, 3 weeks of him being very involved, getting high volume on a pretty decent team. I mean, Geno Smith, when it comes to Jake Browning versus Geno Smith, give me Geno Smith, right? So at least you're a little bit more confident in the quarterback situation. This is fucking crazy, but I'm going to ask you guys this question. Let me know down in the comments. Would you rather start moving forward? Next week they play Chicago, right? So you got Raiders, Chicago. Would you rather start Trey Tucker or fucking T. Higgins next week? That is a crazy question. I don't know who the Bengals are playing. Let me just have a quick look. I can't believe I'm even asking this question, man. But Denver, dude, Denver with Surtain potentially being on Higgins, but he's most likely going to be shadowing Chase. But even then, the Denver Broncos defense is quite competent. So would you start Trey Tucker or Higgins? I think I might start Trey Tucker, man. I can't believe I'm even saying that, but I would drop anywhere up to like maybe 20% fab, no more than that. But again, check out the Discord. You're going to see all the fab recommendations there in the Discord. Tyquan Thornton, man. So Tyquan Thornton, I think, is legit. He's playing 70% of snaps. He's getting deep bombs from Pat Mahomes. He seems to be like actually the most trusted wide receiver. The totem pole of trust in Kansas City is depressing, man. It's like Travis Kelce at the top, Tyquan Thornton, Juju Smith, my Uncle Muhammad, and then way down it's like Hollywood Brown. It seems like the team just doesn't have any trust in Hollywood. He's not getting a lot of work. He's not getting high value touches. He's not getting end zone targets. Hollywood Brown was a scam. Hopefully you guys sold him. He only gets 6 targets in this game. Yeah, ever since the 16 target game that Hollywood Brown had, he's been kind of unusable. So Tyquan Thornton is somebody that I'm excited about. If you're down bad, his average depth of target is absolutely insane. He's averaging like 20 yards per catch at the moment. So Tyquan Thornton just seems like that guy. You throw him in your flex, and when you're going up against him, you're like, oh, fuck. I hope this man doesn't pop off, dude. I hope he doesn't get a deep bomb touchdown and just, bury me. Tory Horton is somebody that's interesting. He's getting increasing involvement. He got a special teams touchdown as well as a normal touchdown. And this was in a game where they were absolutely dominating. So there wasn't really an incredible need for him to be on the field the whole game. But despite that, he plays 49% of snaps. Pretty involved. We need to see a game where it's tighter, and we want to see the involvement before you're comfortable starting him. But I would take a flyer on him. He looks great. He's very explosive. He's somebody that is on a very good offense, and I think they're going to continue getting him more involved. So I would put a nice little 5% bid on him, see if you can get him. He's very speculative. He's kind of a sleeper, but Luther Burden's one that we got to talk about, man. So he was one of my sleepers going into this year. He's somebody that I personally drafted in my main league. I did drop him after week 2. But he shows up, dude. He shows up in a big way. He goes 3 for 101. He gets that bootleg, flea flicker, deep touchdown, shows off the speed, shows off the playmaking. He does also get an end around touch in the end zone. And if he would have broke like one more tackle, he would have had a second touchdown. I just want to let you guys know that. He would be the top waiver wire pickup if he did get that second touchdown. Fortunately, he kind of has very small volumes, so there's a chance that people don't spend a lot of fab on him. He's still very speculative. DJ Moore is still there. This is a game against the Cowboys, so it could explain why he was productive. But nevertheless, man, I do think he's a high-end speculative sleeper pickup. I don't think he's going to help us too much in the coming weeks. I think he's going to come back to earth, maybe get like 30% snaps. He might get us like 6-7 fantasy points a game if he can get a couple more touches. But I'd spend up to like 20%, man, depending on how, what position your team is in. If you're like undefeated at the moment, I would make him my priority. I would take Luther Burden, put him at the end of my bench, and just wait to see what happens, because I do think they potentially trade DJ Moore. Now he moved to Parker Washington, who's probably one of the more underrated wide receivers. 11 targets, he goes 4 for 34. He had 12 fantasy points week 2, 7 in week 3. He's honestly like the more trusted player on this team at the moment. Brian Thomas looks absolutely cooked. Travis Hunter, they don't really know how to use him. Parker Washington's only like reliable dude on this team. So I think you can do a lot worse, man. I'd put like a $5 bid on him, see what happens. Quentin is picked up. Kavontae Turpin. Now, Kavontae Turpin and Jalen Tolbert are 2 guys that you can lump together in one category. Both of them can have the opportunity to do something any given week. Because of that, I kind of don't want any of them. But Turpin is the more explosive guy. He's the guy that was getting touches even before the CD Lamb injury. He was already kind of productive. He was getting like little gadget plays. He's very fast. He's very explosive. How the fuck is he 29 and he only has 3 years? Was this man drafted when he was 26? Holy shit. Anyway, he's a big play specialist, so he's kind of like a Tyquan Thornton clone, but less trusted, less volume. So you can do better, if I'm honest. I would stay away from both of them. $0 bids probably for both of them. Maybe 5% if you're really desperate. LK Maynor has to be picked up, but if he's not, man, you gotta pay a lot for him. He's shown up 2 consecutive weeks. He looks to be the most trusted wide receiver on the Titans at the moment. So he might be a bona fide starter moving forward, man. Somebody that I think if you pick him up, you can probably start him next week. But, there's obviously a ceiling on this offense in general. And then who else, man? Anyone else we need to talk about? That probably does it for the wide receivers. Let's move over and quickly cover quarterbacks. Caleb Williams must be picked up if he's available. He goes for almost 30 fantasy points. He had 25 in week 1, 18 in week 2, 29 in week 3. He's yet to score less than 18 fantasy points. That is a every week starter at this point. He has some rushing upside. They draw up like design runs for him every game. He didn't do much with them this week, but other weeks he could, man. He could bust those off for like 20-yard gains. That's half a touchdown right there, man. So Caleb Williams is somebody that I think you can start every week, especially against the Raiders in this upcoming game. Washington, you can start him. New Orleans, Baltimore, Cincy, Giants. Maybe not against Minnesota, but his schedule is pretty decent, and he's looking good, man. He's looking like a much improved quarterback. He would be at the top. Geno Smith as well. He's not that great of a quarterback, but he makes things happen, man. And especially in garbage time, he's competent. He's a competent enough quarterback. Seems to be having a nice rapport with Trey Tucker. Seems to be like they're trying to get this offense going. They're trying to figure out the offense. Let's see if this develops more and he can be a little bit more productive. I think like when it comes to streaming quarterbacks, you probably feel the safest with a guy like Geno over Matthew Stafford, who, you know, you don't really trust it that much. Carson Wentz, do you really trust him? I know he had 15 fantasy points, but not a lot of volume, not a lot of passing yards. So it's probably Caleb, and then it's Geno, and then Jaden Daniels is out again. You can maybe start Marcus Mariota against Atlanta. And then we got to talk about Hunter Henry, man. The moment you think it's safe, the moment you think the water is clear, there are no sharks in the water, you bench Hunter Henry. He pops up for 29 fucking fantasy points, 2 touchdowns. He was essentially just getting every single short slant route. 2 of them became touchdowns. So Hunter Henry, look, if you want to pick him up and start him, just know that there's a 1-point fantasy day in your future for sure. So you could do worse, though. He's very involved. Like, if you take out week 2, he had quite a lot of volume, a lot of air yards. Hunter Henry, funnily enough, is probably like the number 1 option on this team when it comes to targets. So if you're going to get a number 1 option on a team, but remember, that can change any week. That's up to you, man. I mean, you're probably going to have to spend quite a lot to get him at this point. He just had 2 touchdowns. You're probably going to have to spend like 10% to get him, if not more. And then Mark Andrews was probably not dropped, but if he was, obviously pick him up, dude. He's just too talented. And any given week, he can win you your week. That's why you get a guy like Mark Andrews. You know he has a very low floor, but he has a massive ceiling, dude. He has massive touchdown upside. And I refuse to believe that he's cooked. I still think he's a big part of the offense, even with likely returning. Dalton Kincaid at this point is for real, I guess. I mean, 13 fantasy points, 7, then 17. I drafted this man. I dropped him before week 1. I've been regretting it ever since. He's a good player on a good team with a good quarterback who score a lot of points. What else can you say, man? You know, you can spend anywhere 20% plus on him, and I think he's going to be fine the entire season. Unfortunately, he splits snaps with what's his fucking name? Not Cole Kmet. The Cole Kmet's clone, dude. What's his name? Fucking Dawson Knox. I guess every tight end is a clone of Cole Kmet, right? They're all just like farmer white dudes. Let's move on, man. Jake Ferguson, if he's somehow on the waiver wire, he's like a top 5 tight end rest of the season. Just the volume is insane. All right, man. So we need to talk about Orande Gadsden. Debut, 7 targets, 5 for 46. Gets a couple of end zone targets, I believe. I think he had like 2 end zone targets, 9 fantasy points. It's not bad. That's in a tight end premium. He actually gets outsnapped by Tyler Conklin and Fisk in this game, but he outproduces them. So he's clearly the receiving tight end that when he's out there running routes, he will be getting targets. And on an offense like this, which seems to be a legit contender this year, Justin Herbert's looking like an MVP. This is a pass-first offense now. Gadsden is somebody that's very interesting. I kind of liken him to like Harold Fannin, where they're using him all around the field. He's young, he's promising, he's very athletic. I think he's somebody that I might want to take a shot on. If I'm looking for a tight end, he might be at the top of my list, if I'm honest. And then Brenton Strange, I mean, 7 targets is really nice. 6 for 61 is really good. But how much can we rely on that? Is that going to be an every week thing? Potentially. How much touchdown upside does he have? I'm not quite sure. I don't know how many end zone targets he has. I need to look into that. Maybe I'll post that in the Discord later for you guys. But all right, man, that is the video. Those are the week 4 waiver wire pickups. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We went through all positions and I told you guys who I like. I ordered them. I gave you guys some fab recommendations. As I mentioned in the Discord, make sure you guys join it. The link will be at the top in the comments section. You guys can find the complete waiver wire report. It's going to include fab recommendations and then how I rank them, like who I'd get first. It's position list, so I rank them in order of who's going to have the most value moving forward. Make sure you guys check that out. Make sure you guys join the Discord. We're fucking talking ball every day, man. It's a nice, dope little tight-knit, growing community. And I'll catch you guys in tomorrow's video. We're going to be doing trade targets, guys you should trade away and trade for. And that does it. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.